What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be brewing another Russian Imperial Stout. It's going to be a follow-up to the beer that I originally barreled about 7 months ago. So what I'm basically planning on doing here is that beer's been ready to come out of the barrel for a little over a month now. I just haven't had time to brew to put into it. I don't want to let the barrel dry out, and I don't want to have to sanitize it and do all that again. So what I'm planning on doing is racking the first beer off of it and then putting this beer into it. So it's a very similar recipe. I upped it a little bit. We're shooting for 14%, so it's going to be a big boy. What I'm basically hoping to do is I'm going to barrel age this, and then I'm going to do a tertiary aging on some cocoa nibs, vanilla beans, and some coffee beans. So we'll see how this comes out. I haven't really decided on that yet. I might ditch the coffee and ditch the chocolate and do just coffee. So we'll see. Let me show you my recipe. So here is the recipe for today. So you can see we're doing a lot of 2 rows our base malt, some flaked oats for some body, chocolate, roasted barley, and carafatu. One thing I just found out is carafatu and chocolate are basically the same malt. On here the SRM's a little different, 350 and 412, but the homebrew shops I went to said it's basically the same. So we'll see. I kept it on there just for the sake of keeping it, but no big deal. A couple crystal malts. What I did is the shop I went to didn't have the crystal 80, so I did. You can see it's supposed to be 10 ounces. So what I did is I did 6 ounces of 60 and 4 ounces of 90. So we'll see how that comes out. It shouldn't make too big of a difference. And then we got the 120. I'm doing Magnum as our bittering hop, just a 90-minute charge. I may decrease that because you can see down here IBUs. For an Imperial Stout, I mean everything else is up. The gravity, the color, the alcohol. Not really worried about that stuff as much, but one thing you got to watch with this is if you're doing coffee, cocoa nibs, really anything that can promote bitterness, you got to watch your IBUs because you're going to get some bitterness out of those too. So I may actually just drop my boil down to 60 minutes. I'm going to have to make that decision soon because that's going to determine how much I collect. So we'll see what happens with that. But for right now, this is what we got. And then I don't have the cocoa nibs, vanilla, or coffee on here yet. But I'll update you guys when I decide what I'm going to do with that. So this is actually going to be the first beer for the Chronical I just bought. If you haven't seen the video, I just posted it yesterday. It's a pretty cool thing. It's the SS Brewtech Chronical with the glycol chiller. So this is going to be the first beer on that. So I will update you guys a lot through fermentation, so that way you guys can see how that how it ferments with that. So this video will have a lot more pieces to it than my previous ones. So be on the lookout for that. And then we'll see. So I'm anticipating this beer to probably 2 weeks in primary with the San Diego Super. It does ferment pretty quick. And then probably 3 to 5 months in the barrel. And then I'm going to do a tertiary aging, probably just like a couple weeks on some coffee and vanilla beans, and we'll see how that goes. But that's how we're going to do this one, and we'll see how it goes. So let's get on to brew day. So before we get started, I just want to go over the water additions with you guys. So as you can see here, I picked a black full profile. Big things you want with a stout, you definitely want to keep that sulfate to chloride ratio a little more balanced, more chloride than sulfate. You also want to make sure there's a lot of calcium. That's going to promote the yeast health and body. So as you can see, this is what I'm going to go with after I do my additions. So my normal profile only has 20. I added a little bit to get that up. If I go any higher, I'm going to make the pH go up too far. Basically everything else, my water is very good stout water. It takes very little additions for it. It's always been that way, so I do very good stouts here. So we'll see what we get with this profile. But you can see I'm coming in at 5.41. All I'm really adding is a little bit of brewer's chalk, calcium carbonate. I would definitely recommend getting that if you plan on doing stouts. So you can see I'm putting in 1.96 grams of that for my mash, and usually you will not do anything in the sparge. Brewer's chalk does not absorb into the water, so you usually won't add that to your sparge water. You just let that go. I'll show you what that looks like. So this is brewer's chalk. Again, my bottles are a little disgusting, but you can see inside, just a powder. trying to get that to focus. There you go. So just a powder. It's really all it is. Some people have said they wanted to try using like antacids, because that's what that's all they are, is calcium carbonate. But I wouldn't do that. There's other things in there other than calcium carbonate. So maybe if you're strapped, but I definitely would not do that. So. Alright, so I just wanted to point that out. With the water additions, remember, stouts, you don't need to be at 5.2, you can be a little higher. That's why 5.41 right there is coming up green. So I'm going to keep that there and see how we do, and we'll just monitor it. So I'll always check your water additions. Remember, darker the beer, more acid. Alright guys, let's get on to the brew. So I just wanted to show you guys, you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but the color of the water is very cloudy right now. That is what happens when you use brewer's chalk in your water additions. So what I was saying earlier, how it doesn't absorb, this is basically what it looks like. So just wanted to show you guys that in case you've never used it before. Don't be alarmed, it is normal. Alright, so we are about 10 minutes into the mash. Coming in at 5.27 pH. Couldn't ask for much better than that. A little lower than the brewing water said, but with a 2-year-old water report, I'm sure there's some things off. So I'll take it. Okay, so we're still about 15 minutes into the mash. Just started recirculation. See that there? It smells absolutely amazing. And there is the color. You can see it's pretty much jet black. Awesome. Mashing in right at down. Come up a little low, 150, but that's okay, we'll get it up. This is what it's coming out. So again, I measure, I don't know where it's jumping, but it's 158. I measure that right there. So see where we're at. Alright. Okay, so we just finished our mash. We got every drop of liquid out of the mash, but we were actually short on volume. So I don't know what went wrong. I'll have to look at my numbers later, but you see we're coming in just over 7 gallons. We were supposed to get 8. So let me show you what I just did on the Beersmith app. So what I did here is now we're only going to do a 75-minute boil. So what I did is there's a nice little boil off tool right here. Just put in what I collected, what my gravity was, given evaporation rate, and I just messed with this number to see what I was getting. I want over 5 gallons because I want to get at least a 5-gallon batch out, and I figure I'm going to lose some to yeast. So I definitely want a little over 5. 1.112, still going to give us a lot of alcohol. I was supposed to be shooting for 1.125, so only off by about 13. So not terrible, but that's what we're going to do. It's one way to fix it when you guys do that. It's very hard to get a decent mash efficiency. So you can see here, we're only coming in at 61.8, but that's all right. It's a big beer. Big beers aren't exactly the easiest. A couple things I could have done. I could have kept sparging with more water and just did a longer boil. That's one way to do it, but I'm fine with what I got, so no big deal. All right, so we're gonna do our boil. Once we get up to our hop break, then I'll add my hops. So I'll update you as we go. All right, we're just finishing up the hop break and add our 60-minute addition. 2 ounces of Magma. All right, well that's our 75-minute addition, not 60. We'll add a 60-minute in 15 minutes. Okay, so we already have our 75 and our 60 in. We just got our last hop addition for this, 30 minutes, 1 ounce of Wilmette. And now we just boil out the last 30, get a whirlpool going, cool it down, and then we throw it into the new fermenter. Alright, we'll update. Okay, we just got done our whirlpool. Beer's down to about 80 degrees, or wort's down to 80 degrees. One thing I want to say with these, I don't know if you can tell because of the foam, but make sure your dip tube's turned down. You don't want it facing up because then yeast gets in it and clogs it. So make sure you always have that facing down. Alright, so let's get ready to transfer this. Just going to pop this off. Whoop. Alright, so let's try to do this with one hand. Check the valves. All the valves are closed. Alright, gonna fill this up. Then we're gonna oxygenate, pitch the yeast. We should only have about 4 3/4 of a gallon. We definitely lost some volume with the limited amount we got out of the mash, so we'll work on that, but no big deal. This is a beer going in the bottles anyway, so not like I need that much. So we'll see how this goes. So let me finish filling this up and then we'll oxygenate. Okay, so we just got done oxygenating. You can see it's pretty foamy up top. Now we're going to use the sample port to get a sample. Just open this up. That should be plenty. Alright. So we're just going to use that. You can see here, it's got like a nice brown color to it. We're going to use this for our measurements, gravity reading, and our taste test. And then now we got our yeast right here, so I'm going to decant this. This is our San Diego super yeast. You can see nice yeast layer on the bottom. This was, I believe, a 4,500 milliliter, so 4.5 liters. So we'll pitch this in right now, and let me decant this first, then we'll do it. Alright, so the temperature's already dropping down to the 68. Glycol chiller just kicked in. I believe I have that set at 38. Just got my yeast decanter. We're going to pitch this in. A little yeast left over, but nothing bad. And that's pretty much it. Put this down. So you can see the glycol is dropping this considerably. This will probably be at about 68 in no time. So this is the pilot batch for the SS Brewtech. So we'll see how it comes out. All right. Okay, so brew day's finished. Again, this is what it looks like. You can see it's kind of like sludgy, but that was just the first runnings of it. So give it a taste. All work pretty much tastes the same, but why not? It's extremely bitter. Hope that dies down a lot. Not sure what's causing that right now, but we'll see. So I will post consistent updates. Actually, you know what? I'll just wait to post this video. I'm going to do consistent updates with the fermenter, so you guys can see how it's working out. Just realized I was out of Star Sand, so right now I have the blow off going into my squirt bottle of Star Sand, so I just ordered some, so hopefully it comes in tomorrow, and then I will get a bucket down there. But right now my blow off is my squirt bottle, which will definitely overflow at some point if I don't get the Star Sand in there soon. So I'll update you when we get that. So other than that, be on the lookout. Okay guys, so we are about 4 hours after pitching, and you can see holding at 67.4. I have it set at 68, and there's your activity. So fermentation started pretty quick, holding temperature. So far so good. I'll follow up tomorrow morning. Okay, so we are looking at 24 hours post pitching. That is what our yeast looks like right now. Massive blow off. Made a big mess, which is fine. There you go, just burped some more. So we're holding at 67. Again, have it set at 68. Not too bad. Doable. So looks like it's going pretty well so far. No leaks up here. Nothing down low. Looking good. Okay guys, so we are about 38 hours after pitching. You can see fermenter still holding right about 67.8. Blow off has calmed down. You can hear some of the bubbles. Not as fast as it was, so the temperature is held. I have not seen it below 67 or above 68, so looks pretty good. Okay, so we are 6 days in. Activities down to a minimum. I just pulled a sample out of the port and we're at 1040, so we're still fermenting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up to about 70 degrees just to get the yeast kind of kicked up. And hopefully that'll get it to ferment a little more. And then we're going to pull the yeast. So I tried to pull the yeast out today and it was coming out as beer. So we're not going to pull yeast today. We're going to wait a little bit. So again, day 6, 1040, still going. Okay guys, so we are a little over a week. I think we're at 8 days now. So we're going to take a peek and see what it looks like inside. You can see the Kreuzen fell. So it looks pretty good, smells pretty good. We're going to let it sit though, just to make sure it fully ferments. Alright, so now we have cold crashed for about 3 days now. See if we can get some of that yeast to drop out. You can see 36. What I'm trying this time is I'm going to try to decrease the diameter of it coming out. I was reading some things and it said if it's too big you can blow a hole right through the yeast. So we're going to try this to see if it comes out any better. One thing I'm also doing is I took the blow off tube out. What you get is when you start to drain this and that's not out of the sanitizer, you'll get negative pressure. So one thing you can do is either pull the relief valve or you can take it out so you avoid that negative pressure. So let's try this, see how it works. Yeah, there we go. It's looking a little more yeasty. And now we have beer. Alright, so that worked a little bit. So maybe when you guys try that yourself, give that a try, see if that helps. I'm not going to save this, I'm getting rid of it. But just for future, maybe try putting the piece on, see if that helps, and take the blow off out. Alright, so now we're going to get ready to put this in the barrel. Alright, so we're getting ready to attach the other lid so we can put the CO2, so we can do a pressurized transfer. You can see inside, again, it's cold crashed. Lost a little bit of volume. We're down to, it looks like, about 4 gallons. That's fine though. So what we're getting ready to do, we are going to put this on there. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to attach this. We put this on and I'll resume. Okay, so here's the setup for a pressurized transfer. You've got your CO2 tank set at 2 psi. You run it. What you're going to have to do is, because that is bigger than the inlet to the CO2 tank, you need to get this reducer, or technically it makes it bigger, but you're going to basically have the CO2 line length thickness with the 1/2 inch thickness. Run that in. You're going to have it running off the racking port and into your vessel. So let's try this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to rotate this. And what we're doing here is, because the racking arm is facing down, we wanted to get it to face up again. Okay, so now the racking arm's facing up. We're going to open. And there's our beer running through. I don't have a clamp, so I just got to squeeze here. You can see beer's running in. I will have a clamp next time for this. And that's basically all you do. So let me finish racking this and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so what I did midway through, I rotated this back down so the racking arm's facing down again. So now it is into the cone. We're trying to get as much out as we can. Since I already did a trub dump, we don't have to worry about any trub getting in. So that's all you really got to do to make sure you get as much liquid as you can get out. Alright, so we just got finished. As you can see, we're all filled up. Let's take a peek and see what it looks like inside. So you can see we got majority of it out. Let's take the lid off. So you can see there's still a little bit of yeast in there. Nothing too bad. Not a lot of loss. So we were just above 4 gallons, if you can see that. So not bad. Okay, because that was a little hectic, I'm going to go over this pressurized transfer again. So again, you just need your regulator. You're going to run that down into this. I believe this is a, I think this is a 5/16 barb. And this one is your 1/2 inch barb, which is the size of this. So again, all you really need to do a pressurized transfer again, CO2 tank regulator, your 5/16 to your 1/2 inch. This will go right on the 1/2 inch like that, and then that runs into this. You set your PSI at 2 PSI. This valve again is a relief valve that's not going to let it go past 2 PSI. So if it starts to go over 2 PSI, this will release. And then it's just going to run out. A couple things that I did wrong today. I did not have clamps here, here, or here. So there was some air coming out, and I did not have clamps on the outlet. So definitely make sure you do that. Other than that, let me show you what the beer is looking like. So there's the beer. Pretty clear for a stout. Pretty good. Let me see how this tastes. Alright, so still a little bitter, but it's not bad. It's definitely got some sweetness to it. It's already creamy. Definitely a little warmth from the alcohol. That'll definitely calm down a little bit as it sits in the barrel. But all in all, it's actually pretty good. It turned out pretty well. The bitterness definitely decreased from the day, and you can see it's not as mucky as it was. It's a nice stout color. So the muck went down. I'm not sure if the cold crash did that or dumping the trub, but that helped a lot. So I'm gonna let that age for another 3 to 4 months. Then we're gonna do the same thing we did today. Basically get another beer ready for the barrel, transfer it into a keg, and then bottle it. So check out the other video to see the rest of my barrel aging from the original stout. And I'll show you guys how that is, and you can see how that beer came out. If you have any other questions with this, if you want to see another demonstration of the pressurized transfer, I can show you that. If you want to see a closed transfer, my next beer, that will be my Christmas beer, that will be a completely closed pressurized transfer. So be on the lookout for that. That is the reason I bought the FTSS, the SS Brewtech Conical. So I will show you that. Again, closed transfer never touches oxygen. So I'll show you what that looks like in the next video. So be on the lookout for that around Christmas. In the meantime, if you have any other questions about the SS Brewtech or any other brewing things, let me know. Like, subscribe.